Holy crap! That's 70 wheel horsepower, all from software. All that is from software. Hey everybody, it's Charles. In this video, we are finally tuning the Mark 8 Golf R. We're back at the dyno where we've had some success and we've had some sadness. You might remember this. Now that tunes are finally out for Mark 8 GTI and R, it's time to start testing them. First up, we're gonna be testing the 034 Motorsports tune in a couple of ways. One, on the dyno, to see what kind of horsepower and torque numbers that we get. But in my opinion, that's not the whole story. So we're also gonna do some driving testing, looking at drivability, even fuel economy, because sometimes, I guess that matters. So here's what this is gonna look like. We're gonna do a base run. The only mods to the car are an intake and an exhaust, and I'm not gonna take those off. We're just gonna run it as is. Then I'm going to do the 034 91 file. This is a file that 034 has worked out, and it's probably going to be the best one for your manual transmission Golf R. Then things might get a little bit spicy because we got a beta 93 file that I'm gonna test, which I've heard might have clutch concerns. So there's only one way to find out. We're gonna run this thing and see what she does, starting with doing what we're gonna call our stock run. Next up, we need to get our laptop with the 034 flasher on it, get a battery maintainer on the car, then we're gonna do our 91 octane flash and see what she makes. Okay, we got our credits loaded, we got everything in our flash wizard from 034, and now it is time to void our warranty. Not really void, but we may have compromised the warranty. We'll worry about that another time. So this is flashing. It should take 8 to 10 minutes. I have the lights turned off other than the hazards going. I have a battery maintainer on it because that's important. And now we wait.
8 to 10 minutes later.
This next part is the second most stressful part of this whole thing, and that's starting the car after you flash it. First thing is when we run it on the dyno and hope that it doesn't blow up. Okay. That's good. I'm gonna guess 312 and 356. 346. I'm nervous. All right, round two. Holy crap! All that from just software? What? 65 pound-feet of torque increase and 48 horsepower, all from software. All that is from software. I was woefully wrong. And that's just the 91 file. That's not even the 93 file. Okay, so our 91 file is pretty legit. I mean, that's way better than the Mark 7 and way more than I expected. Now we're gonna get extra spicy and do the 93 octane file. This is like a super beta version of this file. And 034 is, we'll say, pessimistic about the clutch actually holding with this much power. And given what 91 did, I don't know what 93 is gonna do. Like, I have literally zero concept of what this tune might give us. We're gonna do it, and then I guess we'll probably start shopping for a clutch. Yes, this is a beta file, which means I've been working directly with 034. Like, we've been texting back and forth during this whole process. The note that they left me on the flash screen says, "Don't have too much fun now. Thoughts and prayers for your clutch." And I'm gonna type back, "Godspeed, my friends." Okay, here we go. We got about another 10 minutes or so for this to flash. Let's get on our man Pauly D's website and see what kind of clutch options we got. 93, 034 says it should get a good bit. I don't know what that means. Hope the car doesn't blow up. I don't know what to do. Okay, another 13 pound-feet of torque and another 14 horsepower. Almost 80 pound-feet of torque and math, 62 horsepower. That's just out of software. So those numbers are super impressive, and the best part is the car didn't blow up in the dyno, which is always a concern of mine. On our base run, we had 289 pound-feet of torque and 306 horsepower. On our 91 file, we had 355 pound-feet of torque and 354 horsepower. Then on our 93 file, we moved up to 368 pound-feet of torque and 368 horsepower, which is pretty good. Now, dyno numbers only tell part of the story in my opinion. Sure, those numbers can look great, but what's more important to me is how does the car drive? So we're gonna get this thing off the dyno, I'm gonna put some miles on it and see how it does. Woo! That doesn't suck. Oh yes. I need to be careful. So we're tuned. 93 octane file. Let's see what this old girl can do. I can already tell you that there is a lot of pops and bangs. This thing moves. What I had said with Mark 7 is that stage 1 file is how the car should have came from the factory. This is legit. I mean, I'd be happy if it came from the factory this way. I actually loved the way this car performed right out of the box, completely stock. Second gear, 3,000 RPM, let's go. That's so awesome. That is so awesome. Okay, the car, amazing. I love it. I absolutely love it. So we did a hot start, a cold start. Everything seems to be fine. The low speed drivability, like if you were cruising around town, very much the same as factory, which in my opinion, stage 1 file should essentially be OEM drivability with more power. Previously on this car, we had installed the JB4 piggyback, which takes the signals from the various sensors, intercepts them, and changes the parameters and sends it back to the ECM. The drivability difference between this file, the actual flash of the ECM, and that particular piggyback, night and day. In fact, 2 weeks after having that piggyback on, I took it off. I took the whole thing out of the car. So that daily drivability to me is more important than getting more power. It's what left me disappointed in the JB4. Now, that was months ago. That may be different. If you're a piggyback tuner lover, great. I think you should do that. And it's probably gonna come in right about the same price point. As of right now, 034 hasn't released the price of what the tune's gonna be. Now, if you have a DSG, you don't have to worry about manual shifty clutchy, but you do need to tune the DSG. That is part of doing the ECM flashes, doing the TCM flash as well. They really go hand in hand together. And I love the fact that it's still as drivable as it was from the factory. My only real criticism of this file is too many pops and bangs. Not for me. Some of that, again, is my Miltech exhaust. Some of that, even from the factory in race mode, the R had a pretty good amount of pops and bangs. So we're gonna head back to the shop and compare this to what the 7.5 did. All right, let's hit a bunch of your questions. How does the Mark 8 stage 1 file compared to the horsepower gain on the Mark 7? My Mark 7 stock was 276 pound-feet of torque and 273 horsepower. This was on a different day, but at the same dyno. The stage 1 file on the Mark 7.5 was 352 pound-feet of torque and 320 horsepower. And then when we went to stage 2, which is not only software, but a downpipe, a charge cooler, a turbo inlet, and an intake, we had 350 pound-feet of torque and 344 horsepower. So that's over 20 pound-feet of torque and 24 horsepower more with just software on this car than our stage 2 full bolt-on 7.5, which is pretty impressive. Also keep in mind, if you are doing software beyond maybe the 91 file or a low torque file, you probably should plan to replace your clutch. Now, in addition to the clutch being an issue, the other concern I know you have is, Charles, what about the warranty? Well, unlike the piggyback where you can take it off and there's not really any residual signs that you've done something to the car, you ain't doing that on a software flash. If you take your car to the dealer and they run a full scan or they run to see if it's tuned, your car's gonna get flagged. and you can run into warranty issues. That does not mean your warranty is void. My Mark 7.5 has been TD1, which is the signal Volkswagen uses for a car that's been modified since about 1,000 miles, and I've had a number of warranty repairs on it. So with any mod, you gotta be ready to pay to play, otherwise, don't do it. Now, in less than a year, this car's kind of been through it all. We did the piggyback tuner, we've done intakes, we've done exhausts, it went to SEMA, it got brake upgrades, front and rear, sway bars, a whole bunch of other suspension, and finally, what I think is probably the best aftermarket mod that I've put on this car so far is going to be the Stage 1 file. Also, I don't think we're done playing around with our software and mods just yet on the Mark 8. So I'm gonna wrap it up. As always, questions or comments, drop them down below. With that, I'm out because I got some wheels to clean. Look how dirty these wheels are. And I'll talk to you guys again next time.